Alright, so we're in the B2 basement, and you can see that... Yep, that's where we fired the Nikita missile 9 years ago. Oh, geez, the frame rate here is so much better than the rest of the game. It's kind of insane. So we've got plenty of calls with Otacon we can do here.
Hey, Snake. Something I've been meaning to ask you. That canyon, isn't that where you demolished Raven's tank?
Might be more codex here than in the rest of the game.
How? Well, grenades.
That's it? You didn't use an anti-tank missile or something?
Didn't have one.
Your technique is kind of, well, how do I put this? Archaic when it comes to fighting tanks. Honestly, I don't think it'd work on today's main battle tanks.
Well, that's how I did it. What do you want me to say?
You know, I asked an active duty army officer once.
Get ready for the line.
If an infantryman had to take on a tank one-on-one, how should he do it?
And what was his answer?
Don't. He swore there's no way in hell a single infantryman could take down a tank by himself.
Huh. Interesting.
I always suspected there was a little something crazy about you, Snake. But hearing that story, now I know it. You're nuts. Single-handedly taking out a tank? That's crazy. You're insane.
Otacon, is this your idea of a compliment?
Yes. You're the toughest, craziest, most hardcore badass on the planet. You're the shit.
Oh, I love that one. I love how awkwardly he says that. You're the shit. Oh, look, there's a little map of this area here. So yeah, we can go through here. We can actually go sort of in reverse. Oh, Claymore mines. And we can take a peek at all of these. Remember, I looked at these before and I pointed out that I thought it was a little strange that there appears to be a lot of, like, chemicals and medical equipment for what is apparently like a robot lab. You're making a big robot. Do you need to look at microscopes? I don't know, but at least they kept it consistent. I don't have an ID card. I can't get in here.
Everything looks exactly like I remember.
Yeah, I was just saying
Except
that.
for that wall way in back, anyway. I still can't believe how much damage you caused in such a small space.
The switchboard. Nailed it with a remote control missile to shut down the electric current in the floor. The guidance system in those things takes up so much space, it hardly leaves any room for explosives.
I love that being the explanation for why
Hardly.
the Nikita doesn't do much damage.
You're right.
It's just all guidance system. It's basically like a little tiny firework in there, Snake.
Wait a minute. I'm not gonna get shocked if I walk on this floor, am I?
No need to worry. As long as you don't turn the current back on.
Okay. That seems, you know... seems trustworthy. Oh, look, someone must have been in here, though, in these past 9 years, because... I mean, that's not where this desk was. Someone really shoved it. There's some weird, like, untold story here about what's going on, because things are kind of a mess. Alright. And remember, no matter what we do, don't turn that current back on. Which, I mean, it would be really hard to be able to do that, you know? To be able to go all the way over there and turn on the electric current. Like, how would we even do such a thing? And be standing on the floor and have it zap us? So I don't think we're in any danger of that happening. Which is good, because if it did... How embarrassing. See, I feel like someone was definitely... That's all Twin Snakes audio, by the way. So someone was definitely here after the events of MGS1 because, yeah, where's all the dudes? Someone cleaned up the dudes and shoved that desk. So this is a bit odd because in Twin Snakes, there was a big dented wall panel, but it was over here, not over here. I don't think that happened in MGS1. And also in Twin Snakes, we saw the ninja directly slash this. So yeah, again, just to point out, portable ops in Twin Snakes are very canon to this game. Speaking of which, oh my god, what's that? What's that I see? What's that I see on your All Otacon? Is it the Zone of the Ender second runner poster covering up the Police Knots poster? Look, we're back here. It's so cool, though, because it's like, I love this part of the game. I really do. There is another Police Knots poster, by the way. Hey, look. It's the pee-pee stain. Somehow it lasted 9 years.
Hold on. I want to check security.
If your pee stains like an industrial carpet for 9 years... He was drinking way too many energy drinks, man. You gotta hydrate with some water. At that point, I mean, you gotta drink some cranberry juice to clean out your urethra. Welcome to the Chunionika channel, the only place where I'll talk about Otacon's urethra. I don't think anyone else is going to talk about that sort of thing. This is kind of sad. Otacon doesn't want us to use the nanomachine syringe to suppress the nano... We gotta, though. So it's never been directly stated, but yeah, the sound everything makes when he starts freaking out like that, that's one of the fox dies attacking him. That's not his oldness.
I told you before. You remember it, right?
Yep. We remember what the 48273 code was, 48273.
I completely forgot. Can you punch it in for me?
Yep, I remember it.
It's a 5-digit number.
Yeah, 48273. Look at this. This is actually how it... Isn't that cool? Then it goes from cutscene to this? That's so cool. Anyway, 48273. Enter. What's the sound I make? What's the sound that plays when I get attacked by my age? Sometimes when I do start coughing, I remember the chirpy bird sound from this, and I... Look! Oh, look, my sight goes up because I remembered it. He's so proud. I love making Snake happy. Yeah, the dithering and the little, like, screen, like, you can really see the liquid crystal display on it. It's very low resolution, actually, which is very funny. Should have used the PSP input. Yeah, the weird little phone. The old cell phone style.
This version is totally obsolete. It's gonna take a little work.
Look, it's kind of like the camera angle from MGS1 in this room. Ah, it's so cool. I genuinely love this part of the game so much. I know I'm kind of in the minority here, but I think the later parts of this game are better than the early parts. Especially on a New Game Plus, where you can do all kinds of goofy stuff. Look, he's looking at the pee-pee.
It's not conjuring up any...
Look at his smirk. Ah, he loves it. Ah, Snake, you're the best. Look, he's just laughing. He's having a good time despite everything. Ah, you love that for him.
Attacked by Frank Yeager.
Look how dusty we are, too. Look at all that dust.
If you hadn't shown up when you
That's another thing that's interesting about this act, is it's the only one where...
just thinking about it.
Look at that little shiver animation. It's so cute.
You
Dust and snow can get on your suit depending on if you're inside or outside.
Hated them for what they did to
None of the
Greg's
other
body.
areas have anything like that. And it's funny because it makes the visuals
She must have
of this
hated
part
me
of the
too.
game look better too. And because we have more of a familiar, cool blue tone to everything, it just, I don't know, it just looks better.
I blame myself.
I like it.
I helped develop Rex. That's why it was so easy for me to believe her feelings were genuine. But she was only using us to atone for her sins.
So what? What did she do to us?
You forgot already? She betrayed you. She stole your blood.
Yeah, in South America, whenever it turned into a zombie.
If that was all, it should have been over and done with in South America.
Yeah,
Why'd she join us afterward?
Well,
to get the big boss body.
She has us come rescue her, and then she turns around and goes straight back to Liquid. Why would she do that?
Because she's
I don't know, Snake.
because she's a very frustrating character with very frustrating motives that probably could have handled things better.
What?
That's why.
I just had a look at the security access logs. As I thought, there's people coming and going at frequent intervals. In fact, the record shows some recent activity. Look at this. It's an image taken a few hours ago by a surveillance camera.
The Mark II's little animations are so funny. Oh, look! It's Vamp in Shadow Moses. That's crazy that that's a thing that happens.
Naomi.
And Vamp.
Yeah, I do love those little
Maybe
pixel
Beast.
LCD scan lines. It looks so cool.
They've been through here.
Basically what the PSP looks like when you
But
put it
from what
really
we've
close to your
gleaned from the
face.
security records, it can only mean one thing. They're headed for Rex's old underground hangar.
Really? Are they? Are they headed for Rex in Shadow Moses?
I
Is
finished
that what?
rerouting security and released the locks. Door
Hold on, can you run this by me one more time? We're here. Where is this? This is, oh, it's Shadow Moses, right?
Nostalgic for the day
To
when we
get-
used a key card for every door.
To get to Rex, which has the railgun, which can fire a nuke that's not controlled by the Patriots, so they can blow up the Patriots and have control of it. Is that what's going on here? Could you run it by me one more time? Just once more so I know. Please. I don't think I get it. I'm not sure if we're understanding what's going on
finished
here.
unlocking the door on the first floor. It should open now.
Okay. You know what else?
I've been waiting for you, Snake.
Who are you?
Neither enemy nor friend.
Gray Fox. Colonel. That ninja's Gray Fox.
Ridiculous. You yourself in Zanzibar land.
Oh, he's looking off in different
Yes,
directions.
Yes, he should have been killed, but he's still alive.
What?
They were using a soldier for their gene therapy experiments.
How long you gonna stay in there?
Are you one of them?
No, I'm not. I always work alone.
Say the next line. No, say the next part. Yeah!
Are you an otaku too?
Hell yes. Hell yes. Oh, I love those. I love those so much. Like, I get it. Listen, I am like Mr. I love my franchises. I love the callbacks to prior things, you know, so I am completely enamored with this part of the game. It's so good, especially at the time when it was. Look, there's a regain here the whole time. When it was actually 9 years. And back then, when 9 years meant something, when 9 years didn't vanish in the blink of an eye, oh god, we're all so old. Let's just get this ramen and not think about it. Oh, we're full on ramen. Well, let's get out of here. The Gray Fox voice isn't bad. I feel like it's a little weaker. Yeah, I massively prefer Gray Fox is Greg Eagle's voice from MGS1. Again, I love Twin Snakes. We remember how much fun I had playing through that. Yeah, we can relive the memories and watch the recordings over and over again. But I do think some of the voice acting is a little weaker. I think a lot of the translation is certainly a little weaker as well. Anyway, there's a gecko here. Hey, do you remember what was in this room originally in MGS1? Was it a fire pit? No. Was it an electric floor? Yes, but do you remember what else there was? There was poison gas. Remember we talked before about poison gas, Gecko? In Act 3? And how they were removed and how they were later used in Metal Gear Survive? Would you believe? Hey, would you believe that this poison gas gecko, or this gecko right here, was also meant to be a poison gas gecko?
Snake, those geckos seem to be equipped with CW units. They fire some kind of poison gas. I'm guessing carbonyl dichloride. Inhalation will lead to coughing, shortness of breath, and respiratory distress, with a high rate of fatality. But if you had a gas mask...
Don't have one on me this time.
Well, if you can't guard against that gas, the only other option is to make sure it doesn't get released. The gecko are probably programmed to launch a chemical attack upon detecting vital signs from a living target, especially when it's human. I'll bet it's part of their mission protocol. Be careful not to let them know you're there, Snake. Use the Mark III, Snake.
Okay. So yeah, this was also meant to be a poison gas gecko, but of course, it's not. I think aesthetically, it might be. No, it doesn't have the little canisters on it. I'll have to get a picture of what they ended up looking like. Oh, wait, no, do you have the cannon? Hold on. Well, as we heard, use the Mark III. Let's see if we can get a better look at this guy. Those might be the poison gas canisters. Yeah, on the sides of its head.
You'll have to do something before you can get to the first
I'm not sure, though. There's a very particular design, and they did have a darker camo like that. Anyway, hey, we already know how to do this. Remember when we zapped Snake? Well, we can zap the gecko, too.
Okay. Nice, Snake.
Where can I find the cut lines of dialogue, the unused codec frequencies? Well, there used to be individual uploads of them, but if you just look on YouTube for MGS4 all codec calls, you can find a big 4-hour, 20-minute, and 28-second video that has all of them, all marked in the description, and it does indeed have the unused ones pointed out. I'll actually get a link right here. There we go. This should be it. Yep. And let's head back up now that we've turned on the power. We've opened up the security doors. Let's go up to the first floor. And I think that might be all of the unused codec calls. At least all of them that I wanted to point out.
Okay, Snake. Take the stairs down and go to the north door.
Okay.
I'll open it for you with the Mark III.
I mean, I've never actually seen anyone point out this stuff in a playthrough. I know some of the discoveries are more recent. I hope that... Whoa. Look what's going on with that. See what's going on with that box over there? That looks like an emulator glitch. Like, look at is it gonna... It's like a weird level of detail glitch. Look at that. But I'm playing on a real PlayStation 3. On an actual, like, disc version of the game. You know? What? Anyway, that's bizarre. Yeah, I would like to see more of the unfinished and cut content from this game. A little bit more about it, because it sounds like there were some interesting areas and interesting things. Some unconfirmed stuff as well. Like I said, it's unconfirmed that, at least as far as I haven't seen compelling evidence, but it makes sense. You'd be able to get the FAMAs. Allegedly, you'd be able to get the MGS2 sneaking suit in the final act of the game, which would be cool. The MC3 Crimson mod has a legendary Dark Knight mode. I did see that in the options. Look, it's this type of gecko again. Alright, so... we can do some funny stuff here. We've got the bandana. We've got chaff grenades. So, what we have to do is either protect the Mark II for roughly 3 minutes. Oh, right. I forgot the chaff grenades disable the Mark II. So we've either got to distract this gecko for 3 minutes or destroy it. I'm going to choose distracting it. Yep. That's great. Thanks for that. Because you can get a somewhat, I want to say a rare, what would you call it? Like a rare gameplay circumstance if you just protect the Mark II. Hello. That's what I'll call it. There's a bit of a rare event you can trigger. In addition to that, there's emblems at the end of the game, and one of them is the chicken emblem, which requires you to do... A lot of people say it's actually the hardest emblem to get in the entire game, because even though it's the joke emblem, it requires, like, you gotta play the game for, like, 25 hours and die 50 times. And, oh, that's just nasty. Play it on the easiest difficulty and do all kinds of stupid stuff. And the hardest thing, believe it or not, is meeting the death requirement. Well, I think you have to kill a certain amount of people, you have to get spotted a certain amount of times, but by far, the most difficult thing to do is to meet the death requirement. The easiest way to die 50 times is to get to this sequence and fire a heavy weapon at the Mark III, because it results in an instant game over. And then when you continue at the beginning of the sequence and can just do it over and over again. At some point in the future, I will do a chicken run. Yes, that's what I call it. A chicken run on stream, because it's actually very funny how bad you have to be at the game. I remember when we were younger, my sister and I doing a chicken run, and we actually just left the game on overnight. We just put Snake in a barrel and put him in a safe place, and we were like, well, we need to run that timer up. So yeah, speaking of running the timer up, that's what we're doing here. We're gonna lame out the gecko. Oh no, but he saw our little buddy.
The Mark III's been spotted. Distract those geckos.
Yeah. Those, plural? Is that more unused content? Or I guess changed content? Hey. How you doing? I do like this pattern. And yeah, see these things near the side. I wonder if that was the little gas canister? I'm not sure. I know there's concept art, and like I said, they were used in Metal Gear Survive. So I'll at some point be able to... Oh. Be able to take a look at those. Let's just go forward. Let's go forward. Yeah, it is very cool that this chapter is going back to Shadow Moses. I love it. This might be my favorite act of the game, genuinely. Check it out, we're outside. And if we look at the ground, oh my goodness. There's footprints. Look, and those are Naomi footprints. And whose footprints are these? They're Vamp footprints. And you can see he was prancing all about. So we're not going to... Well, no, I'm going to point this out, actually. Here's a little hint for you. A little thing to be aware of. Because I think I've mentally marked all of these. If I fall down there, that's a point of no return. I'm pretty sure I know all of the points of no return in every Metal Gear Solid game. So be careful. Don't go down there if you're not done. If you're not ready to go ahead to... Oh my gosh, it's the communication towers. Look at that. But we're outside. We're not inside. And look at this weird, like... kind of hard to really point out, but see this path here? This is the canyon where we fought Sniper Wolf the first time. She was like not quite up on this level. She was on the level below this. But now it's filled with snow. Like these were the alcoves where I believe this one there was a surveillance camera and a ration. A gun camera, rather, and a ration. But yeah, it's been filled up with snow over the years. I pointed out, both in MGS1 and in Twin Snakes, that it indeed was an outdoor area. And now you can actually see that, yes, it was. But again, we're not going to go there yet. First off, we've got this little storehouse. Very similar to the ones in the snowfield where you fight the second Sniper Wolf battle. Got some Claymore mines. And look what it has here. Well, it's not quite a PSG-1. But it is a cool tactical SVD. It's very funny to think that a lot of these weapons were here in MGS1, but we just never grabbed them. Get more stung. So let's go backwards, and since we lamed out the timer with the gecko, we get that little rare gameplay sequence I was talking about, which is... Get my solid eye on normal mode. Look at that! This gecko is patrolling here. And we can see with the solid eye on, we can actually look at its sensors and where it's looking. And like I said, it's not very common. Most people don't know about this because most people will try and destroy the gecko. So I wonder now, I'm going to try something a little dangerous. But this is another thing that a lot of people don't know you can do. It's very, very dangerous, but... Oop! Oop! Didn't quite do it. Okay, well... You can shock its legs, basically. Except it's kind of like a horse. It gets very skittish when you're behind it. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I somehow doubt I'm going to be able to. What if I do that, huh? Make you a little woozy? Nope, he's too skittish. Okay. Oh. Oh, let's just hide from him under here. Again, I mentioned it early on at the first part of this level. Oh, hey, rat. That this is weirdly, bizarrely, the first act of the game where you actually encounter, like, the main enemy that they tell you about since the beginning. The gecko are one of the first things we see, and yet we don't really get to fight them until this point of the game. We don't get to see them just out and about. Now, I know you can shock it with this thing. And it's a shame because they're so fun to mess with. Like, they don't behave like anything in prior games. They're like a big, horrible beast thing. There we go. Yeah, you can momentarily stun them. I just think they're a neat enemy. I think they're genuinely a really cool opponent. They're a Metal Gear that you can face in normal gameplay. Technically, they're not a Metal Gear, but, you know. It's a shame that you didn't get more time with them and that sequences like this, you kind of have to go out of your way to play the game weird to initiate them. But like I said, this is a game that is secretly meant for replays. It's just, you know, all of the scripted shooter sequences and the lengthy cutscenes do everything they can to deter you from wanting to replay it, which is a shame because it's worth replaying. And oh, look. You can see they're sleeping. They're sleeping over there. Alright, we're going to get our bandana. We're going to get our chaff G. I'm going to try to sneak by them. Like they are legitimately cool because they don't feel like a lot of stuff in this game is just kind of, it kind of does the, you know, the thing with RE5 where pretty much everything you do in Resident Evil 5 is just a worse version of things you did in Resident Evil 4. But if you play it solo, you're just going to be let down. But if you play it co-op, you have a fun time because of that. And you don't really think about it. This game is very similar to RE5, hear me out, in that a lot of what you do is just lamer versions. By the way, everything repopulated. All the items. A lot of what you do is just less cool versions of stuff you did in prior games. The bike chase with Eva, of course, being the most noticeable one of these. But then you get stuff like the gecko, and even like these sequences where all of the enemies are robots, where now, you know, you're kind of more incentivized to want to blow stuff up because you're not killing dudes, and the gecko themselves are so fierce and threatening and large that, you know, the formerly almost invincible Snake that, you know, you can deal with basically everything. They're tough. And look, this opens now because we restored the power. I think that's cute. So much like the original MGS1, after a while this opens and we can come in here. Oh. at some. Let's get some regular grenades. I haven't really used those. Oh. Ah, I got a suppressor for my M4. There's another rare gameplay scenario you can get yourself in. Gotta do it a little cautiously, and we'll get the, again, stinger for brand recognition. Oh my gosh! I got an alert! Let's run out here, look! There's a gecko on the heliport now, and you thought Super Smash Bros. Was being silly by having there be gecko in Shadow Moses on the heliport. So yeah, you can fight one of them out here. It's pretty cool. It's legitimately just, it's just pretty cool fighting a Metal Gear on the heliport. When this game is being a big dumb action game and when it's being a dream match, it kind of kicks ass. Also, yeah, the blizzard will kick up, making it really hard to see. But that's fine. We took care of him. Look at all those little chittery guys. Alright, so I'll keep my solid eye in night vision mode. And if you look, it's a different gecko from this one. It literally just summons a gecko to come out, so this guy you can still deal with too. And again, just like, look at this. This is frightening. Since I've got this guy on my own, I want to demonstrate something too. So the first weapon you pick up in the game is the AK-102. You get this very early on in the, like, opening prologue when we're first introduced to Gecko. You know, the whole war has changed thing. And I say that the Gecko are very frightening. Well, I say this knowing that actually, in that sequence, you can actually destroy the Gecko with the weapons you're given. I'm going to demonstrate that to the best of my ability. If you keep firing at a very specific point at its face. Excuse me. You can eventually destroy them in that prologue. I almost did it, but I figured, well, maybe I'll show that off at some point in the future. Also, this is the most I've used an assault rifle in any of these games. Because like I said, I think they're just kind of pointless in Metal Gear. There we go. Oh, you can also see I've gotten a combat high. Let me, put this in place. Which means I somehow do a little bit more damage psychologically, and my bullets fire faster. I take less damage. So yeah, you kind of have like a weird devil trigger mechanic if you fire a bunch of bullets in a high-stress situation. Very tedious to fight Gecko this way, though. As I'm sure you can tell. It's not recommended, but it does make them seem very fierce. Come on. kick that ration right into my mouth. That's nice. You know, I'm starting to realize that this is actually a tougher gecko, so this might take way longer than I thought. But I still want to do it. I still want to demonstrate that it's possible. But there are like a lot of variants of the gecko, and I kind of forgot that tougher gecko was not a thing that Metal Gear Rising invented. They exist in this game too, which is shoot your legs a little more. There we go. This isn't going as well as I'd hoped. I forgot that minor detail that these are the big boy gecko. Which is why they take, like, multiple shots. But, oh look, these all say SE mode now. It's glitched out again. I think if we... Yeah, so we can see we've barely done any damage to it. See, we're getting there, but... These types are very, very heavily armored. I completely forgot about that. I forgot that was a mechanic. I feel like a fool. So you know what? Let's use my favorite way to deal with them. A second favorite way. My favorite way we'll get soon enough, and the game directs you to do. My second favorite way to deal with gecko is just having them land on me. No. No, that's not correct. I'll have to go back and do the opening to show what I mean. Because I think the gecko might actually be the weakest in the game there. No? Come on. Yep. There we go. Couple of shots from this. Like I said, the anti-material rifle, it always holds the answers I seek. Alright. So yeah, we can go all the way back here, which I love to point out. I just like to point out where a point of no return is, and how far back you can go in a lot of games. It's just, I don't know. It's neat to me. It's neat to know how much of the game you can play before it starts to wrestle control from your hands. But I think that's enough. I think that demonstrates enough that, yeah, no, this place really cool, a lot you can do. You can fight a bunch of dudes. Again, if I really wanted to, and I wanted to be very... If I wanted to take the time... and be very thorough, I could demonstrate that you can indeed clear out this area from all these little boogers. Also, I don't think they're too hard to avoid, because I think they only see through that laser. Like, I think they actually... can only see that. So they're kind of IR sensors. They can walk around. Yeah, see, like... Yep, just fine. Well, since we know these things' weakness, look at that. One shot. So the reason that one took one shot is I actually did hit it in the weak point. I was trying to hit that first one in the weak point, but I was missing. Again, I'll have to go back to the opening to demonstrate. There's a really easy place you can do it, and they're very, very, very murderable. Kind of funny. Everything about Gecko in this game is kind of funny. Part of the reason we'll be playing Metal Gear Rising after this rather than Peace Walker is just because I think Rising takes a lot of the ideas of this game and just uses them a little better. And I feel like Gecko, to me, even though I know, oh, Gecko, the MGS4 enemy. Yeah, they started being a thing, you know, they're from MGS4. But at the same rate, I tend to think of Rising a lot when I think of them, because that game just did so much with them. And basically what it did was make the cutscene where Raiden fights them a playable thing that you can just do. You just do all of his moves. Hey. Get destroyed, idiot. So yeah, even though they're fearsome, even though they're scary, when you know how to take them out, they're not that scary. They're really not that scary. Alright. Let's head out here. Go to that big snowfield and whatever awaits us.